Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me here today. In this video, we are going to discuss how to use your intuition to guide you to your success. If you're an HSP, if you're a creative, if you're an empath, then your intuition is your most powerful tool. Your intuition is that tool that lets you know when something's good for you, when something's bad for you. It lets you know when you're on the right path or when you need to maybe consider changing the path that you're on. It lets you know when there's a toxic person holding you back in life. And your intuition can also be your guiding light to you achieving everything that you want to achieve and to manifest massive success in life. So in this video, I'm going to give you 6 simple steps that you can implement right away and whenever you feel the need to start manifesting and guiding you towards that success that we all have the potential of reaching. So let's get started. Step number 1 is to create a vision for yourself. I cannot stress how important it is to create a vision for your future, okay? Because if we focus too much on the goals and the vision of, say, a month ahead of us, when we only create goals based on the short-term future, our vision becomes tunnel visioned, our vision becomes closed off because we're not seeing the bigger picture, we're not seeing how all the tiny steps, all these small goals are a part of the journey to this bigger vision, right? This vision that excites us and holds all the things that we want to achieve, okay? So creating a vision is the most important part when manifesting success in your life. Now, every single person has what I like to describe as spiritual downloads, and especially if you're more of an intuitive person and you go by your feeling, you let your feeling lead the way. Spiritual downloads are those pieces of information, those inspirations that pop into your mind out of nowhere, right? And they excite you. When you feel them, you feel excited, you feel like, I want to do this right now, okay? The problem with these spiritual downloads is sometimes whenever we receive them, we get excited. But say when life gets in the way and we get distracted by real life and we get distracted by, our daily routine, the things we have to do, we look back on these downloads and we think like, oh, that was just a stupid thought. That was me just getting excited over nothing. Or I couldn't realistically achieve that, okay? So we tend to kind of pack them aside, push them aside. And we do this because we don't see how these inspirations can realistically pan out in our short-term future. So we disregard them. Now, the problem with this is these spiritual downloads are actually our intuition downloading something from a much higher state of consciousness, right? That is the universe communicating with our soul that this is something that's meant for us. This is something that is in our soul contract. This is something we're able to achieve, okay? Whenever you get these spiritual downloads, whenever you get these bursts of inspiration, doesn't matter how crazy it is, write them down. These bursts of inspiration will eventually become your vision for the future. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you can't see yourself achieving these things in the next year or in the next 5 or 10 years. I don't care what you think now. You don't know who or what or where you're going to be in the next few years. So your only job whenever you receive those downloads is to write them down. Make them a part of your vision. Make it something where you're like, okay, I can't do this now. Realistically, I don't have the resources, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the tools. However, maybe in 10 years I will. And the thought of achieving that someday excites me. Make it a part of your vision. You don't have to have a plan. Now, whenever we talk about this vision should be made up of tiny sparks of inspiration, tiny sparks of ideas that really, really excite you. Whether that is living somewhere, whether that is carrying out a business concept, whether that is meeting a certain person, all of these sparks of excitement and inspiration, what you'll find is they'll form this little pathway, this little trail of dots kind of, that form a really, really brief outline of steps that you want to take throughout your life, of things that you want to achieve throughout your life. Okay guys, I'm in Ireland, so if you can hear the rain pissing down right now, holy shit. Holy crap. I love it. Okay, it stopped. Okay, I just had to pause the video because it just started like pissing cats and dogs on my roof window. So yeah, that was Irish weather. So once you've started creating this vision of the future based on possibilities that excite the shit out of you, then what you need to do, step number 2, is start to break down these inspirations, ideas, things that excite you into realistic time frames. I usually like to hold like a 10-year vision kind of. I feel like if I have something I want to do, the likelihood is if I keep it in my vision for the next 10 years of my goals, then I probably will realistically be able to achieve it in 10 years. So I think 10 years is a pretty good time frame to work with. And that also kind of pushes you to like, you know, really work towards those goals and those milestones. So break it down into realistic time frames. So if I was to achieve this, for example, one of mine is to eventually start a spiritual retreat. And I'm no way in the right position right now to start that because I have different priorities. But I know that one day I want to host a spiritual retreat. So I can say realistically that if I continue going the way I am, I continue doing what I'm doing, that could be a possibility in the next 3 years or so. So I would put that down as a 3-year time frame that I could see myself realistically managing to get to that point. So do that with all of the ideas that you have. And if it's a 10-year vision, then go ahead and just put it in as 10-year time frame. But for now, what we really want to do is we want to see how many of those things we can put within our 1-year time frame. So if it is, for example, starting a website, that is something that you probably have the resources to do in the next year. Whether it means you have to save up a bit of money to start your website, or whether it means you have to learn web design, like typically that would be something that you could start a web design course, you could start saving up, you could take extra shifts and have your website created in the next few months or the next year. So break it down into things that you could realistically, from the place that you are, achieve in the next year. And now guys, the reason I'm actually making this video is because I found myself in a place recently where I had so many things that I want to achieve in this next year. So many things, so many things that I feel I can start that right now. Like now is the time to take that on. And I got so overloaded with trying to do so many things that I kind of froze and I lost vision of like what I should focus on. I was kind of like, you know, should I focus on this first, or should I focus on this thing, or should I push this aside and do it in 2 years? I got so overwhelmed with all the ideas and spiritual downloads that I was getting that were like leading me to my soul purpose, that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything at once. So if you're feeling like that, then this next step is really going to help you. So when you have your 1-year inspirations, your 1-year milestones written down, what you want to do then is you want to go through each one, and this is when we really start to use our intuition, right? And I actually learned this. I recently had a higher channeling session, it's called. This guy is extremely spiritually connected, and he is an incredible medium. He's able to go into trance and he embodies your higher self, so he connects with your guides who can see your higher potential, and he literally speaks through them. A 45-minute session where he told me everything that I need to know to reach my higher self. And this is one of the tips that he gave me. And funnily enough, a few days before my session, I actually sat down and I was like, okay, I have to prioritize my shit. Like I have to prioritize my goals. How do I do that? And I kind of sat on that question for a couple days, and all of a sudden I got this spiritual download. It literally told me to write down all the things that I want to do in the next year, all the things that I'm trying to work towards right now, and prioritize them based on how passionate I feel about each one. And in my reading, this guy said the exact same thing to me, and it freaked me out because I literally have my goals written out and prioritized on a scale of 1 to 10 on my wall, and he told me the same thing. So I knew what I had was a spiritual download because he was literally spiritually downloading too and repeated the same thing to me. So I'm sharing it with you guys in case you're in the same position. So write down all your year milestones and then tune into your intuition for each one of those milestones. And ask yourself this, on a scale of 0 to 10, how passionate, how excited do I feel about doing that thing? So for example, I have one-on-one life coaching, I have mediumship development, I have the emotion code, which I'm training in right now, and I have my YouTube videos. So I tuned into each one individually, and I tuned into how I feel in my heart when I think about that thing. How passionate do I feel about it? How excited do I get? How aligned do I feel when I think about that thing? And what creates the most energy in me? And I just wrote on a scale of 0 to 10 for each one how strong that feeling was. And it became really clear to me that the coaching and the YouTube videos were my priority because they scored 10 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10. And the others were like a 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. But that gave me the clarity that I needed to focus my attention on my priorities right now. And I did that through my intuition, because your intuition always holds the answers, okay? So we've covered steps 1 to 4, I believe. Now, going on to step number 5, what you now need to do is you need to prioritize, write out the list of the things that you have just written down in order of their priority based on how passionate you feel about them, how high they rated on that scale of 1 to 10. And once you've done that, you know the most important things. You know what your intuition is most strongly pulling you towards right now. And whenever you're clear on what your top priorities are, what you're most passionate about in this moment in time, because it's always changing, it could be different in 3 months, 2 months. Whenever you're clear on the priorities right now, what you got to do is you got to work towards or carry out a task or do what you need to do first thing in the morning every single day to work towards that thing. Because your intuition is literally telling you this is the path that you need to take. This is the thing you need to focus on if you want to reach that vision. And if you just focus on getting really, really good at being really, really consistent with putting all your energy in to the thing that you feel most drawn to, then you're going to be on the right path, because that's the thing that you need to do first. The rest will fall into place around it. And if you do those top 2 or 3 things first thing in the morning, or whenever you first have time in your day to do those things, then you can work on the other things later on. You don't have to worry about them so much. Whenever you have the time to, you can work on the other things because you're also excited about them, but they're not as important. They're not the pillars to your success, okay? But you can still work on them. And every day you're going to get this feeling of accomplishment when you have done the main priority thing that your soul is calling you to do. I get that with my videos. I started filming in the mornings. I started filming twice a week in the morning, and I feel freaking great. When I finish filming and I start editing and I have my videos completed, edited, ready to post, I feel so aligned because I know that's what I'm meant to be doing. And all the other things, all the other little milestones just become like, you know, what I do in my spare time, what I do for fun. I don't have this pressure of like having to do everything because I know intuitively what is important right now. Now that is all 6 steps, but I do want to mention this one, I guess, final step or final piece of advice, and that is our path is always changing, okay? The steps that we have to take are always changing because nothing's fixed. Life is fluid, energy is fluid, we have free choice, free will. We might end up in situations where we're being pulled towards something else for the time being. So you can use these steps whenever you want to, whenever you feel you've lost that focus, whenever you feel the priority thing is no longer a priority and you're feeling lost again. Just reanalyze your priorities, reanalyze where your passion lies, what excites you, and you might find that it changes every few weeks, it changes every few months, and that's okay because we're not supposed to stay completely fixated on one thing the whole time, right? It's okay to move from one priority to another every few weeks, every few months. But to get the answers to what that priority is, to get that clarity and know which direction you're supposed to be facing in, tune into your intuition. Your intuition will always point you in the right direction. Your intuition is your guiding light towards that success. So guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, as always, for watching this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you found it beneficial, and have a great rest of your day.